How's everyone doing today? So did you guys know that every hour someone in America dies just because they didn't take 2 seconds out of time to put on their seatbelt? Well, I know you guys have experience being in the car, either driving or being a passenger, and something as simple as putting on your seatbelt for 2 seconds, taking 2 seconds out of time to put on your seatbelt can really make a big difference. So today I'm here to talk to you guys about brief history of the seatbelt, and the purpose of the seatbelt, and lastly, why we should wear the seatbelt. So starting off, the seatbelt was first thought of in the year 1849. The first concept of the seatbelt was thought of by a guy named George Cayley, but it was later invented by a guy named Edward Clanghorn. There's different kinds of seatbelts that we use today. Just to name a couple that you guys are mostly see nowadays is first off is the car seat used by babies. There's a lap seatbelt, which you can find on the airplane. And lastly, there is the 3-point seatbelt. And the 3-point seatbelt is one that you guys would see in your car. It's the one that wraps around your shoulder and your lap at the same time. And according to Mary Bellis, the first car company to incorporate the 3-point seatbelt was Volvo, and that was in the year 1959. So now I told you guys a little brief history of the seatbelt. I'll now be going over the purpose of the seatbelt. So the purpose of the seatbelt is basically to keep you safe and secure. So basically when you're in the car, the one thing you want to make sure that doesn't happen is that you don't want to crash into you don't want to get ejected out of your seat and into the windshield or out of the car. Back in my physics class in high school, one concept we went over was the law of inertia. And the law of inertia basically states, by Isaac Newton, he said that an object remains in motion, will remain in motion in that same speed and direction unless it's acted on by an unbalanced force. So I'm going to be showing you guys a little quick example of that kind of situation if you were to be involved in an accident and you're not wearing the seatbelt. So basically, just real quick, say you're driving your car and you don't have your seatbelt on. You're driving and pretend there's a wall right there and his hand will be my seatbelt. So without the seatbelt first, we're driving, I hit the car, or if I hit the wall, my body will still be moving forward just because I still have the velocity of the car. So I'll be moving forward, and basically without that seatbelt, I wouldn't be ejected out of the car. So if his hand were there, and his hand with the seatbelt, if I were driving and hit the wall, his hand basically acts as a restraint and it basically holds me back from ejecting from the car. Oh, can you start? Okay, you can see here in this graph that I had, courtesy of the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. It shows the occupant fatalities in 2006, and this is basically showing people who didn't wear their seatbelt. If you notice, from the age range from 8 years old all the way to 20, the percentage is really high, just because it's not really influenced as much that they should wear the seatbelt. If you notice, the white bar represents the totally ejected, that means they flew out of the car, and partially ejected probably means they were just thrown into the windshield or something like that. So basically just the whole idea of wearing the seatbelt so you don't get ejected in the car needs to be more enforced. Another thing that people don't think about is the airbag. The airbag, it's another safety thing, but if you don't wear a seatbelt, the airbag can kill you. So there's a video on YouTube basically shows a guy who's wearing who's not wearing a seatbelt, and he basically gets into a head-on collision. And right when he does that, his internal organs, or basically his body, is moving forward just because that seatbelt's not there. And at the same time, the airbag it deploys, and it basically puts force on him back, and then his body gets hit, but then inside of him, his internal organs are still pushing forward. So what happens is when his internal organs are pushing forward and the airbag is pushing back on him, basically causes a lot of pressure right here in the stomach region, and his rib cage basically snaps. And what happens after that, when like a bone or something like glass breaks, there's a sharp point. And when that happened, it basically punctured right into his lung and then got to his heart, and that's how he died. So something as simple as an airbag, even though it's meant for safety, can kill you. So it's important to wear a seatbelt. Now that I told you guys the purpose of the seatbelt, I'll now be going over why you should wear the seatbelt. So according to the Sheriff's Office of Miami County, wearing a seatbelt increases their chance of surviving by 50%. On this graph that I have here, you can see that I have the range from the years 1994 all the way to 2008. If you notice, from the beginning of the 1990s, it wasn't really enforced as much to wear the seatbelt. And once it got more enforced, they noticed that the fatality rate was going up. So people, or was going down once people started using the seatbelt more in the 2000 region. According to the National Highway Transportation Association Administration, in the year 2008, more than 13,000 lives were saved just because people wore the seatbelt. Another study done by the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration from the years 2004 to 2008, 75,000 lives were saved just because people wore a seatbelt. If you guys want to picture how many people that actually be, let's say there's a Justin Bieber concert at HP Pavilion and it's completely packed. So basically, all those people who were in there saved their life, or were saved just because they wore a seatbelt. Even Justin Bieber's life was saved. So I told you guys. So today I went over the history of the seatbelt. Went over the history of the seatbelt, the purpose of the seatbelt, and why you should wear the seatbelt. Hope you guys can take what I told you today, take it in, and make sure every time you step in a vehicle that you take the time to put on the seatbelt, because it only takes about 2 seconds. So I'm going to leave you guys with the final thought. In the words of the California Highway Patrol, click it or ticket. Thank you.